What is happening, everybody?
All right, now people can hear us.
Hello. I should probably pull up the chat so that I can see what they're saying live instead of taking your word for it.
Yeah, probably a wise idea. But hello, everyone. Micah Curtis here, and we haven't done this in a minute. And this is a stream on YouTube. And
oh, cool. No wonder I couldn't find it.
Yes. So, making some adjustments here. Yeah, Xavier hit me up, and he said, I have thoughts about the new Ghostbusters movie. And I said, I am unaware of what's going on with the current Ghostbusters movie, so let's have a discussion about it. So, what I am going to do is I am going to grill it. Well, Xavier's going to explain his perspective, and then I will grill him, and of course, chat, you are welcome to grill him with me, so that we get an idea of what's actually going on with this movie. Because one thing Xavier and I were talking about before we came live was that this is one of those things where it kind of feels like some people are getting a little too... how did you put it? Culture wars, getting people seeing bats in the belfry or something like that?
Yes. I had I saw a game trailer the other day, and it was because of like Dustlands or something.
Yeah.
It's in my Twitter feed somewhere because I responded to it that everyone's response is main character has the haircut, therefore Sweet Baby must have touched this. And I'm like, well, that's not fair because that haircut has been around long enough that this is just a style that some people have. Yes, that style is always in games that are like very much problems, but let's at least take a look at the gameplay. And I looked at the gameplay, I'm like, this doesn't look terrible. This actually looks like it might be kind of okay. It's like, what if you mixed Borderlands with Hi-Fi Rush and put it on a road trip?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't sound terrible. It just doesn't sound like fantastic. I'm not gonna make plans to go play it, but if it came into Game Pass, I might check it out. People are like, somebody reached into my comments like, hey man, how much time you got? How much money you got? Because there are so many other better games that you don't have to make excuses for. I'm like, the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
There's way too much of that, and it is admittedly very frustrating as somebody who just likes to enjoy things.
Yeah.
Like and yeah, the problem haircut I especially feel is very overstated. I'm gonna bring an image on the monitor for everybody to see here of a character with the problem haircut.
Oh, did you find that tweet I responded to that I posted at?
No, I'm using a different example. So what the audience is seeing is a photo of Karlach from Baldur's Gate 3. Who is like the best character in that fucking game, and she has the problem haircut, the side shave. The fact of the matter is, like, the side like, I get it. There's been a lot of bad media that has had a character with this side shave, but at the same time, this is a pretty common like punk rock style haircut. I've seen this haircut in scenes and at concerts I've been at since I was like 22.
All right, I found the photo, and this is the promo art. Like, you look at it and you kind of go like, there's the haircut. But
People are saying they can only hear me for some reason.
am I not loud enough?
You should be.
Hey, chat, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think the chat might be trolling me.
But anyway, there's the image that I was responding to. Like, I checked out their gameplay trailer. Like, this looks kind of okay. Like, there are some parts of it like it kind of reminds me of Destroy All Humans. Where it's like it's a free roaming cartoon beat 'em up.
Yeah, it could, like, and looking at the designs, like, me personally, I'm not really a fan. Admittedly, it does look very hipsterish, but at the same time, if the gameplay's fun, then the gameplay's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So
with that said about people's bats in the belfry here, let's go ahead and talk a little. Apparently, the new Ghostbusters film is like that for some reason. I have not been following the zeitgeist around this because, admittedly, I've been busy running a publishing company and a YouTube channel and all this other shit, and I haven't have time. But what is excuse me. What is the kind of scuttlebutt on the newest Ghostbusters timeline? Because I missed the last movie. Hatman told me it was great.
Yeah. It really was. In all honesty, I personally felt as this is not what I wanted for Ghostbusters 3. However, it was very much the movie we needed for the Ghostbusters fan base. And it did everything it needed to do very well. And you can probably teach a film class using this and comparing it to 2016 and show there's a reason why this made money and this other thing, we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And I guess to begin with, I kind of need to discuss what Ghostbusters means to me, so you guys can kind of understand where I'm coming from on this. Just before we really dive into the movie. We'll get to Afterlife. This is so you can understand why I'm saying these things. I grew up in the 1980s, like the tail end of the 80s and into the early 90s, so the Ghostbusters cartoon was very much a big part of my childhood. Just like the Ninja Turtles cartoon was. One of my cherished childhood memories is the fact that my dad loved me enough to tape a bunch of episodes off the television and then get a VCR and hook a camcorder up to it because he knew how to do this, and he edited all of the commercials out of the episodes he taped off the TV. So instead of a bunch of bullshit commercials and 6 or 7 episodes, I had almost 20 episodes of Ghostbusters on one tape and 20 episodes of Turtles on another tape. And I was like, okay, this is 8 hours of entertainment. When this tape gets to the end, you eject it, you put in the other tape. Hopefully one of us is home from work by then. But because of that, also, I had the Ghostbusters access to the Ghostbusters movie growing up, and that is one of those boyhood fantasies is you get to hang out with your heroes, you get to hang out with the Turtles, and when the Turtles are not doing anything interesting, you go hang out with the Ghostbusters, and growing up, that was what I played pretend with my friends. So obviously, 2016 comes along and it does nothing but, shit on an entire fan base for liking a fucking movie and a cartoon. And we can get more into that, but I don't want this to be I want this to be more objective and less culture war.
Yeah, let's just, I think that we can summarize 2016 with it just left a bad taste in everyone's mouth.
The people that made it thought that the Ghostbusters as a concept was very silly and stupid. and thought that, well, we can make a silly, stupid movie and you'll like it, won't you? And so they made what they thought was a silly, stupid movie, and they got mad that nobody liked it.
Yeah, like beyond any cultural shit, it really. I didn't see all of it. I tried watching like part of it, and I kind of just felt like, because I've only seen Ghostbusters 1 and 2. I watched the like because you and I are around the same age. I'm a little older, but I watched a little bit of the Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters cartoon on Saturday mornings. I watched both movies with my dad. The first movie is probably I don't for me it's like the first Ghostbusters and Tommy Boy are the two most quotable comedies of all time.
Just say me personally, I think the first Ghostbusters is probably the better movie of the two.
Yeah,
but I like the second one the best.
Fair enough. And the second one has a lot of fun stuff to it.
Absolutely.
I mean, let's use Ghost Ooze to make the fucking Statue of Liberty walk through New York while playing what was it? The song Higher? Yeah.
And your love is lifting me higher.
Yeah, it was great. Like there's a lot of it's a very like Ghostbusters was fun, but it was the kind of comedy that it had a level of cleverness to it, and that beyond any political zeitgeist, like Ghostbusters 2016 didn't have that cleverness. It was just silly, and it like that kind of humor doesn't hit.
Right. Going into Ghostbusters Afterlife, this is something I really wanted to talk to when it came out, but I was so much other stuff was going on that I never got to just do a stream about it, and all the people that I wanted to talk to about it just weren't streaming, or they weren't taking calls, and it is what it is. But I said Ghostbusters the video game is very much what Ghostbusters 3 should have been.
Yeah, definitely.
Ghostbusters Afterlife is not what Ghostbusters 3 should have been. However, it is the movie we needed. Mm-hmm. The way I would explain it is the two most important characters in that story is Paul Rudd's character, and I can't remember her name for the life of me, but she plays Phoebe Spangler, the little girl, the daughter of Egon. These are the two most important characters to the movie, and some people may disagree with me, but let me show you what I'm putting down here. These two characters are kind of central to the themes and the messaging of Ghostbusters Afterlife. This is going to tie into Frozen Kingdom when we get there, so, please be patient. I have autism. Paul Rudd represents me as an adult Ghostbusters fan, because he runs into Phoebe Spangler and her friend podcast, and they've got some ghost busting equipment, and they're interested in the supernatural. He's like, hold on, you don't know what Ghostbusters is? And I actually had a situation with Serena recently where she's never seen Ghostbusters. And Paul Rudd's attitude is the same thing that I said to Serena, says, I have to fix you. To the internet.
I have to say this, even before we put together Grindstone, I feel like we've been saying that to Serena for the better part of a year about different.
I was like, you haven't seen Ghostbusters? We have to fix you.
Poor girl.
And so immediately he goes to YouTube. He's like, look, let's watch these Ghostbusters videos together. I need to show you because Ghostbusters is awesome, and I want you to know that Ghostbusters is awesome. That's us.
Yeah,
the adult Ghostbusters fans talking to the younger generation that don't know what Ghostbusters is. They show them a ghost trap and a proton pack. I know what that is. I've seen the videos. I've seen the online documentation. Holy shit, is there a ghost in there? Can you open it? I want to fight it real quick. This is gonna be awesome. And at no point, and this is the big deal between Afterlife and 2016. Nobody says Paul Rudd is stupid because he likes Ghostbusters, or that he knows what all this stuff is. At no point does anyone call him a big nerd or that he's into weird shit. because he knows what all this stuff is. You know, he becomes, you know, a part of the story. He's informing them. He's letting them know. Now all of a sudden these kids are interested in Ghostbusters. The character of Phoebe Spangler represents two different people. One, she represents the new generation of people that are just finding out about Ghostbusters, but kind of also represent me as a kid. You know, my inner child is a Ghostbusters fan, because you give her a PKE meter, a thing that lets you track ghosts. You gave her a proton pack, a thing that lets you fight ghosts, and a ghost trap, and she knows how they work now. What's the first thing you do? I'm gonna go find me a ghost to fight. Like, ghost just minding its own business. Like, come on, motherfucker, let's go. I'm gonna quote some movies at you. Because that's literally what happens in Afterlife. Is as soon as she realizes what this equipment does, she just goes and finds a ghost to fight. The ghost isn't hurting anybody. The ghost isn't bothering anyone. It's not a nuisance. It's not even relevant to the story. It's like, I can fight ghosts with this? We gotta go fucking do that.
So it's sort of like the childlike amazement of Al from 0080, but with none of the war trauma.
Right. And again, to tie back into 2016, when this is all, when she fights this ghost, nobody tells this girl that, you know, she's an idiot for playing with these dangerous equipment. They're upset because she tore up half the town playing with the equipment. In other words, if you hadn't torn up the town, like, hey, there's a ghost over in the shed, here's a fucking nuclear blaster, fucking go play.
Oh,
all right.
Well, that's one attempt at childcare, I suppose.
Right. So, in essence, you have a story that features, you know, the older generation, the younger generation, but also somebody that the older generation can relate to, you know, like that inner child. We could still connect to this new character, and we do a proper passing of the torch, because the old guys come back and they help, and they do this big thing together, and they solve this big problem together. And it's very much, you know, we couldn't do it without each other. And maybe it's time for Ghostbusters to come back. And that's why I think that, you know, Afterlife did as well as it did. It didn't look down on you for liking this thing. It played to everything you liked about this thing. Like, no, it's good that you like those things. Here's some, you know, because this is literally you. Mm-hmm. These two characters are literally you. So yeah, Paul Rudd's character is a little cringy sometimes, but, you know, it's like, he's excited. Like, holy shit, I've been excited about Ghostbusters my whole life. Now I get a fucking proton pack. Holy shit, I got possessed by a terror dog, and I went and I had sex. That's amazing. I was participating in a ritual that almost destroyed the world, and then we saved it, you know, afterwards. I have a girlfriend now thanks to this. This is awesome. And this leads into Frozen Kingdom, which I have to say I absolutely loved.
We'll pause on that real quick, because there is a couple observations that I wanted to mention just from what you told me, but also say hello to the chat, because it seems like a lot more people are funneling in here. Specifically, I want to say thank you to Grey Jedi for saying that he's a huge fan. Keep up the work. Because yeah, I'm excited for tomorrow. I don't know if you saw this, Xavier, but the next installment of my 1 Year War series goes up tomorrow.
What?
Yeah.
First I'm hearing of it.
Yes.
I can't wait.
Say the editing just got finished today. I went ahead and watched all the way through it. It is an hour and a half of pure Gundam lore and also lots of memery. You even get my well, not my best impression, but an impression of the sort of space redneck that the Black Tri-Stars do in that whenever I talk about them. So, but it goes all the way through from Garma's death all the way up to the aftermath of Odessa Day and the Battle of Jaburo. So it will be a blast. I think people are really going to like it. And we are going to do the 4th installment pretty quick. We're going to do one video about Devilman, and then I'm going to go ahead and start working on part 4 and finish it up this week. So hopefully by the next week or the week after, like beginning of April, we'll have the 4th installment, and then we can move on to whatever the next deep dive is going to be. It's looking like it's going to be Gundam Wing. So I'm excited. Okay. So yeah, from what you're describing, it really seems like there's it's something that has a level of reverence to the original material. It's not trying to make fun of somebody for being a fan. It's not insulting that, but instead it's, using that but introducing new people to kind of introduce it to a new generation with still having a level of reverence for the cool shit that the old one did. Is that about right?
Right. I would even go so far as to say that it doesn't exactly shit on the 2016 movie either, as much as it says, I see what you're trying to do, let me show you how it's done.
Yeah, which is respectful, because it's like, at the end of the day, and this is something that, again, let's take the culture war for a bit, and this is something that you guys are going to be hearing from me, from Xavier, from Mike, from all of us when we get our podcast started. More on that later. Is that we're gonna basically be taking the culture war, we're gonna pick it up, and we're gonna put it to the side and talk about what's actually in front of us. Largely, and it's nothing against people who like to talk about the culture war stuff. It's nothing personal. It's just we don't, and it makes us miserable. We would rather just talk about the art and the merits of it. And then if it's relevant, then we'll go from there. It doesn't need to be inserted into everything. But the general idea is that whenever you every artist who acts like they don't perform for an audience is full of shit. You are full of it. At the end of the day, you should, unless you just have to get something out of your system that has a very specific type of story to it, like it's like, fuck this, I'm only aiming for a mature story or things along those lines. Like, generally speaking, people want their stories to be read, they want them to be watched, so on and so forth. And anytime that the disdain for the audience comes through, people are going to see it. So if they had disdain for the people that liked the 2016 movie, well, that's less people that are going to want to watch it. So, and I'm not excusing 2016 before anybody says it, but what I am saying is that ultimately it's a much smarter approach from a business standpoint, and you'll honestly come across as less of a dickhead when you're willing to make something that anybody can pick up and watch or read or things along those lines. We don't see that enough in the comic book realm, which leads us to another segue. Human Shield.
Buy Human Shield if you haven't already. Tell your friends. Have them buy Human Shield. Give me your money.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this, because Xavier here is actually the editor on this book. I'm the publisher on this one. Michael Octavius is a good friend of Xavier's. He lent the character of Human Shield to the first Peregrine book, and now we are trying to get this one off the ground. It's admittedly had a weak start. So I want to say something to the audience to kind of assuage some nerves, and then I'm going to allow Xavier to talk about the book proper. I completely understand people seeing me promoting a comic right now, and there's a level of, are you serious, Micah? I am serious, and this is why. First off, with my own stuff, anything that I have written is on hold. All of it. Everything. Because until I can get you guys at least the novella in Inglewood Book 2, I'm not publishing my own work anymore. Until I get to that point, which Hatman and I have been talking about, even with the theft of the money that we had set aside to publish those books, even with that, it's looking like we may be able to get the novella out to you sooner than you'd think, and then Inglewood not too far after that. We might have to do a piecemeal fulfillment where it's like when we get money in, we'll be able to do it. But the fact of the matter is, we had thousands of dollars stolen from us. It's going to take time for us to make that up, and we can't just get it back because at this point we're at the speed of government. We have to have the government help us. We're having the North Carolina state try to help us, and the FBI. That's where we're at with it. It sucks. So what I will assure you guys is this: if you're worried about this book getting to you, if you're worried about the funding being safe, Xavier can attest to this because he's helped me out with parts of this. Mm-hmm. We are working with a completely new bank with superior security. Everything that we have is under two-factor authentication. If anything happens with the account, anything comes in, everything goes out. There is nothing that I don't know, and I don't get a verification of, both in my email and on my cell phone. The second thing is that we are going to hold the team to this on a schedule. So if you're worried about this not coming out on time, now it's not just me trying to do everything myself. I have Xavier as the editor on this book. I have Mike as our editor-in-chief. So you've got levels of accountability, and we're going to make sure that the schedule is set properly for the artists on this to make sure that if this book gets funded, then you are not going to be in a position where you're waiting 3 or 4 years for a book. We're not doing that to you guys anymore. We're going to stick to our due dates as strictly as humanly possible. If there are delays, we will let you know what happened 100% and why. So, with that said, I just want you guys to understand I have gone through everything I can do to make sure I can still give you guys great stories with my company. Even though they're not my personal stories, I know the material that's going out there, and I'm telling you, it is worth the purchase. So, Xavier, tell people what Human Shield is.
See, Human Shield, like I said, is Mato Alvarez, who is somebody that was born with a rare form of ALS, and one day his power triggered during a disaster, and it created a powerful energy barrier that's around his body at all times. It expanded, and thanks to that, a city that should have been completely decimated, only a portion of the city was decimated. Everyone else was saved. And so Silver Falcon, Peregrine's father, kind of takes Mateo and takes him under his wing. So he kind of grew up with Peregrine. They're kind of like a brother sister or like cousins. So they've known each other like for a long time. And he became a hero in his own right. He had his own team. He had his own adventures. And eventually, when the great invasion that killed all of our heroes came, and Star Force needed a new leader to step up, he didn't exactly volunteer as much as I think everyone stepped back. So he's kind of acting leader. But he's doing a damn good job.
ALS is Lou Gehrig's disease, right?
I think so.
Yes. So Fitz Chozo in the chat had asked about that.
But that shield is always on, which makes his life has a lot of interesting problems, including sensory deprivation. Like, there are certain things he has to do just to get it off, just to eat and do normal things. But we don't talk about that in the book because, well, we don't want to have superheroes sitting in a diner talking about nothing or pooping.
Yeah, we don't do that.
That's not what we're about.
I feel like it's the whole Black Panther in Infinity. We don't do that here.
Yeah, because
we don't. We actually like actively. If there's gonna be a conversation in a diner, in this in anything that we do, it's gonna be relevant to the story. You know, not just random banter.
In the weeks following the events of Peregrine, this is literally like several weeks after that. He gets a message that there's some things going down in his hometown over in Buenos Aires, and they need his help. And his old team is down there, his friends. He goes down there. He actually finds some people that are former foes that are now on their best behavior, and he's got to team up with them to deal with this new threat. And part of this threat is actually very civil in that the local population is currently being riled up as a result of government action in trying to rebuild the city. I think we've talked about in other streams the Meta-Human Registration Act. They're trying to force anyone with any sort of powers to register themselves, declare their powers, and basically you get conscripted to use your powers to help rebuild the city, and you're not going to be paid for it. You're expected to do your civil duty or else.
Yeah, it's less of police action and more like jury duty, which is the shits.
And both sides are being this is I should stop here before I give too much away. It's going to be exciting. You're going to like it.
Yeah, a lot of the
Um,
plot from the script as I've read it is there's a lot of political manipulation going on, and the terrorists that we're dealing with are a lot more clever than just having you know they just blow shit up. They're I forget the name of the villain.
yes.
Lumina. This is her right here. You're seeing her on the screen. Um, she's a lot more. She's pretty clever as a villain in this. I really am gonna. I think that this is gonna be one that a lot of people are gonna like. Sounds like Civil War. It definitely has inspiration from that, and also from a bit of X-Men too, because that was always a lot of people forget that Civil War was basically the one thing that the X-Men feared the most was and what they were always fighting, or one of the things they were always fighting against, was the Mutant Registration Act, and the basic idea that like you have to be on a government listing. Now, in reality, like that wouldn't that would be
Like,
that would be tied up in the courts in the United States for years. But the ultimate point, and honestly, I thought that would be a really interesting story if they had ever done that in the X-Men, is if it ever got passed. But by the time that Civil War happened, they did the whole no more mutants thing and yada yada yada.
oh,
So
the kind of approach that I have to like the Mutant Registration Act is, what if it wasn't evil outright, but was like super just like inconvenient and just frustrating, and it's going to cause its own problems.
oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
eventually, you're still going to get your civil strife, but it's going to be very, very different. Especially because we don't know where the metahumans are coming from.
Yeah.
We don't know what exactly is triggering, the metahuman mutation in people. And whereas, in terms of mutants, the quote unquote the X gene uh, is quantifiable in some cases. In other cases, it's not, because 80s and 90s X-Men was a little shaky on that on purpose.
Of course.
But that's something that Human Shield was always meant to follow Peregrine as like our second book while we were working on Peregrine 2. We are in the process of working on Peregrine 2 right now, but we're also trying to get Peregrine Deluxe, which is our reprint of the first one with extra goodies in it, extra story, and additional art. We're trying to get those ready at the same time, and Scott and I have different schedules, and it's just he and I are doing our best to make that happen.
Yep, and I'm making sure that they stay on it. So, because for those who don't
But
know, a lot of my life these days in the world of comics, while I'm not writing, is I'm actually working as an editor. I'm editing the next Peregrine book. I'm editing the next Black Rhapsody. Which, for those who don't know, Serena's Black Rhapsody is going to be published under Grindstone from here on in. And there's other books as well that I'm going to be the editor on. So, super exciting stuff. I'm very as much as I wish that my own stuff was getting out there, I'm very excited by all the people I'm getting to work with on this. And Octavius and I are going to have a sit down this week to actually talk about this, because Fizz Chozo actually brings up an interesting point in the chat. He says, not to mention the Superhuman Registration Act wouldn't actually stop any villains. Why would criminals known for committing crimes care about following a law? And that's exactly the fun part. It's basically a law that exists to make people feel good. But is it practical? Fuck no. But that's politics for you, and it's something that can be easily manipulated. So, but Octavius and I will go into detail on that when he and I get to do the sit down. I just wanted to give you guys some assurance on this. Back it. You will not be disappointed. We understand if you can't back it immediately, the economy being what it is. But our first 30 days, we've only got 13 days left. We've had a bit of a slow start, so if you guys would be willing to back it, if you can't back it immediately, just do me a favor. Links in the description. Share it around to other people that might be interested, and it'll be a big help.
This is very important. I need to tell you, the statue.
Yes.
We don't have a sketch of it yet. We don't have a prototype of it yet. We're still waiting on getting that modeler. We're going to do the pose on that for that first cover. That's going to be the statue.
Yeah, and I love this cover so much, dude. This is a great hero pose. I'm obviously a big fan of like the superhero uniform with a jacket. The Saint does
Yeah.
that. There's a member of Project Lazarus that does that. And then of course like the Red Hood does that. Like it's just fucking. And then of course like there's others that I could think of, but it's a
Rogue,
great vibe.
Gambit.
Yep, Rogan Gambit. The Scarlet Spider in a sense kind of does that. It's just a damn cool look to it, and
Cyclops looks better when he wears a jacket.
oh hell yeah, absolutely. So it definitely has that sort of vibe. I hear some people be like, "Oh, I don't know about the whole '90s." Like, dude, some like really, I think that inspirations from all eras are cool because they all have their benefits. It just depends on the
Yeah.
feel. Hold on. Excuse me. It's like the feel you're looking for because Silver Falcon here is obviously Silver Age inspired, you know.
Wait.
But I feel like there's a place for all of it, really, because it just depends on the vibe you want. And it's got a cool vibe. It feels a little bit more modern, but you can still tell it's a superhero. And I'm really excited about this book, guys. If you can't tell by what I'm saying, and I'm hoping more people will get behind it. We would definitely appreciate you. All right, back to Ghostbusters.
All right.
So with that said, tell me about Frozen Kingdom. What is the gist of this film?
Well, Frozen Kingdom basically picks up a couple of years after Afterlife. It starts off with letting us know what our primary antagonist is. It starts off in like the 1900s. And you remember there used to be like adventurers clubs or explorers clubs.
I think so.
A bunch of rich, nitwits that would when world travelers that would gather up artifacts and show off all the interesting things they've done. Like that group that found a preserved woolly mammoth in the ice, so they got together and they had it cooked and served
Uh-huh.
because it was so well preserved. So they're sitting there eating mammoth meat.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, groups like that. Well, they're meeting at a hotel. I don't remember if it was hinted at being like one of the hotels that we've previously seen, like Slimer's Hotel.
Uh-huh.
But the firehouse is there, and an old timey fire department shows up with like a coal burning pump drawn by a horse carriage, and these old timey firemen come out. And they find out that this room that's full of these explorers, everyone in there is dead. They're all frozen solid, and nobody knows why.
Huh.
And that's kind of the peak at our big bad that we find out more about later. In the present, Paul Rudd, who is now dating Phoebe Spangler's mom because they both got possessed by terror dogs and had relations as a part of the ritual to summon Gozer in the last movie.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, that was awesome. Thank you. You were awesome too. Do you want to just keep being awesome together? Cool. And they became a couple. He's driving Ecto 1 recklessly through town, and they're chasing this giant serpent dragon ghost out of Soho. And it was like reckless abandon. Like, this feels exactly like Ghostbusters of the game, where like a lot of property damage, but that's okay. We have insurance. So Phoebe Spangler gets in the gunner's seat and she's blasting this thing out the side of the car while Paul Rudd is dodging through traffic. They try to do a little RC ghost trap to catch it, but it flies away. Like as this is happening, she's tearing up signs, chunks of building, and the ghost is starting to head towards like the really big high rises and the business district. Like you guys start tearing up those buildings, people aren't going to be happy. And they deploy this little quadcopter drone with a ghost trap on it, and use a GoPro to like RC it over and catch this thing. Like, okay, that was fucking cool. Meanwhile, Paul Rudd redlined the hearse and crashes Ecto into some like rental bikes. And that's our first like major action set piece. I'm like, okay, this is fun. Like, so we've basically continued with our characters. It's basically the Spangler family plus mom's boyfriend are the new Ghostbusters. Um, okay, that's fine. We're perfectly fine. They get brought before the mayor, who, as it turns out, is Walter Peck.
Oh no.
And he is unhappy that the Ghostbusters are a thing and that they're tearing up the fucking city. And Paul Rudd, as it turns out, is not very good socially.
Big
Which we knew
surprise
from the
there.
first movie. He was not very good socially. And he's like, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, may I approach the bench? Like, do I look like a fucking judge, do you? And accidentally reveals that most of the damage was done by Phoebe Spangler, who is 16 now. So she's a minor. She's not being paid because this is like a family enterprise.
Oh no.
And she's running around with like, it's just a proton beam. It's not, it's safe. And she's like, actually, no, it's not. It's not safe at all. And so they're on thin ice, but due to legal reasons, they have to bench her until she's 18. Her older brother is 18. He gets to play Ghostbuster, and she's kind of fucking upset.
Yeah.
Which is, very understandable because, well, my brother gets to keep doing this. Why don't I? Because you're 16. Just wait 2 more years. You're still part of the team. You can't be out there, blasting shit. Yeah, we're gonna, and I think this is one of the part of the weaknesses of the story is they don't sit there and have the conversation. If there's other things you can do that help us because you're still part of the team, you just can't be blasting.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if they did have that conversation, it wouldn't lead into another part of the story that I think is also important for the plot they're trying to tell. She's 16 and she doesn't go to school because she clearly got the autism. She's clearly super fucking smart, and nobody questions the fact that she doesn't go to school.
Right.
Which tells me more than likely she's probably past certifications to where she doesn't have to go to school anymore. She's already graduated.
Mm.
So she's no longer in that small town where she had friends. She's now in New York in the firehouse with her family, and she doesn't go to school, so she doesn't have friends. She doesn't have the opportunity to go meet people her own age. So now the one thing that she did have that she thought was cool going for her was being a Ghostbuster, and now she doesn't have that. So she's starting to, rebel. Paul Rudd is, her mom's boyfriend. He's not her dad. And he's actually stepping, all over his own toes, trying to not overstep boundaries. Like, clearly you need a father figure, but I don't know if I'm allowed to be that yet. I don't know if I have permission to say the things that need to be said to you. And eventually it comes down to, her mom giving him person, you need to be a fucking asshole. Like, I know you want to be her friend, but sometimes you need to be a fucking asshole. And some people have talked about, like, cringe moments of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all Paul Rudd's, but they're all understandable. Like, some of the things he does is very much him flirting with his girlfriend. Like, she says, be an asshole to my kids. So he pulls a piece of laundry out of her laundry basket and throws it on the ground and starts, saying, would you say to me? I'm sorry, that was mean.
So kind of like the typical Paul Rudd humor.
Yeah, and he's making her laugh. Like, you have a permission to be my asshole to my kids. Okay, I'll try. I don't know if I want to go through like the whole movie like step by step because like big spoilers. Ray winds up getting sold this item, this brass orb that just trying to measure it with his PKE meter actually breaks the thing.
Damn.
He's also teamed up with her friend, Phoebe's friend from the first movie, Podcast, which is like her only other friend. But they're not great friends because instead of hanging out with her, he spends his summer lying to his parents that he's at space camp, living in Ray's basement and doing a web show with him.
Huh.
where if you bring people will bring in items that they think are haunted, and Ray will tell you if they're haunted or not. Um, if they are, he'll buy them from you. If they aren't, they smash it with a hammer because it gets views. So an old lady comes in with her husband's watch and says that she thinks it's haunted because every time she comes into the room, it beeps at her. Come on, Harold, beep it for the man. I'm sorry, ma'am, but your husband's spirit has passed on to the next world, which he probably went in peace. Oh, that's okay. It's the very comforting things. Then a mallet comes down and smashes the watch. Sorry, man, them's the rules. The hammer gets the views.
Oh man. Funny thing is that I can that kind of like encapsulates YouTube in general is like that would get views. I could see that being fucking. I have a feeling like that would get enough views to make a VTuber who works for HoloLive jealous.
Yeah. Well, this causes an earthquake that actually starts causing damage to the containment unit. And the containment unit, they had to force the last ghost into it. Like, it did not want to go in.
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out, they call an engineer to check it out. And this is somebody that I don't think we've seen before. He works for Winston.
Mm-hmm.
Winston, who has since become a millionaire philanthropist. Bought the firehouse, runs this company with Janine, and is funding the new Ghostbuster operations. He sets up a research center where not only are they catching the ghosts, they're actually studying them. Like, there's so much that that we don't know about ghosts, and we've been catching them all these damn years. Let's find out. But also development of new tech. And one of the things that they found is certain items are possessed. They can actually remove the ghost forcibly from the item. That's why Ray is buying these items, these haunted items, for this research. And then they can be imprisoned, put into their new containment unit they built. That's basically, they said that from a ghost standpoint, it's like the entire American West.
Huh.
It's like they're never going to run out of room in this thing. I was disappointed because I was kind of hoping that the new containment unit would look a lot like the containment from the real Ghostbusters.
No such luck, I'm guessing?
No, it kind of just looks like a bigger version of the old one that covers more walls.
Gotcha.
Which is okay too, I guess. It's not as cool. Slimer is living in the attic of the firehouse.
Of course.
And Phoebe's older brother finds out there's slime leaking down into his room. Like, Mom, there's something in the attic. You're an adult. Go deal with it. So he just grabs a ghost trap and just goes up there to go deal with it. Like, yes. This is fabulous parenting. Like, look, you're a parent and you live at the Ghostbusters firehouse. Like, you're a big boy. Go fight the ghost. So he finds Slimer. It slimes him because he doesn't know who he is and gets surprised. Later on, he tries catching Slimer with a trail of flaming hot Cheetos and a ghost trap. But he almost has him. But then another earthquake happens for more paranormal events, and he falls out and freaks out because of the earthquake, and Slimer sees him, so it slimes him again and runs away.
Sounds about right.
So Vivi Spangler is still upset she can't go out and do stuff. So in New York City, in the middle of the night, those that park where people go to play chess?
Yeah.
It's not Central Park, but it's like that other park with the fountain.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but I know the one you're talking about.
She goes there. Yeah, she goes there and sets up to play chess at night in New York. Like, it's a good thing this is in the alternate timeline where the gargoyles are real and keep the city safe at night, because otherwise this would be extraordinarily dangerous. where New York City is still a decent place to live.
Definitely a fictional
So
universe.
yeah, everyone that's seeing this, seeing her go out, in the middle of the night, like, what the hell are you doing? She clearly not from New York because she don't know no better. Uh, to everyone from New York, I apologize, but you know what I mean. While she's there playing, getting ready to play Nobody, the pieces start moving because a ghost materializes and starts playing with her. And the ghost is alarmed that she's not freaked out by the fact that she's a ghost. Like, aren't you scared? Why? Well, I'm a ghost. So? And this ghost is of a 16-year-old that died in a building fire.
Oh, man.
So what we have here is that Phoebe Spangler has a friend now. And it's a ghost. And she can ask these interesting questions that she finds fascinating, and this person can maybe relay those answers to, and she can relate in different ways. But ultimately, this person needs a friend, and all the friends that she thought she made in the first movie, well, yeah, they're still friends. They're just you're not around them anymore. They all work for Winston, except for the annoying kid who works for Ray. Well, the family gets a call and they go out. Another call comes in, and Phoebe decides she's going to steal a proton pack and go handle the call herself. And she invites her little friend Podcast to go with him because he's bored. He got nothing to do right now. She goes to a diner, and it's the girl she met at the park is the ghost that's haunting the place. And she's alarmed, like, well, why are you here? And her friend is like, well, why are you talking to it? Just blast it. Kind of understanding that, ghosts aren't just monsters. Now, something that the cartoon really played with a lot is that not every ghost is a monster or a problem. Sometimes it's better to help the ghost pass on than it is to just lock them in a box and dump them in the containment.
Yeah.
That was like some of the better, cartoon stories were like that. We were called to bust this ghost. It turns out it was our uncle, and all we had to do was help him finish his unfinished business, and he couldn't remember what it was. So we agreed to help him figure out what he was trying to do.
It gives a little bit more depth to the universe, which sometimes is needed for sure.
Yeah. They use the machine that tries to pull ghosts out of objects on the brass orb from before, and it damn near destroys their facility.
Jeez.
Like, whatever is in there, we want to leave it in there because this thing is actually emitting a field around it that is causing like absolute zero phenomenon where flow of particles around it are actually being, brought to a standstill. So you blow fire at it and it causes frost.
Jeez.
Like, you grab this thing and your hand starts to freeze. Like, something extraordinarily dangerous is in this thing. Anyway, the part in New York where the heroin addict's at. So that's why I'm like, why? Why would you go out at night in New York? Why would you do any of that? Eventually, some more damage gets done to the city, and as a result, the Ghostbusters are basically being shut down. That's right. They went to the library. Phoebe starts doing her own investigation with podcasts, and they recruit Ray into it because Ray's just like a big kid. So you convince him that there's a cool ghost adventure, then yeah, he'll go with you. they show him a video they took of the orb and found there was like EVP on the audio of ancient chanting that nobody else was picking up on. So they go back to the New York Public Library. Um, God, who was there? Patton Oswalt was there. And Patton Oswalt is like, look, there's only like 5 people in the world that like understand this what this is, which means that my colleague, Doctor Such and Such, put you up to this. And so the kid like hangs up his phone because he's calling. I was like, Doctor Such and Such is already dead. Are you serious? Why would you tell him that? Like, he's not. He's not. He's like, oh, it's all right. I just said that'd be cool. And a ghost that possesses anything inanimate sneaks in and steals a item that actually contains a chant that can open the brass ball and unleash the big bad. And it possesses one of the lions in front of the public library and tries to kill Phoebe and Ray. Ray, as it turns out, has a proton thrower built into his motorcycle, like in case of emergency, and they use it to blast the lion. And the cops are really fucking mad, and Mayor Peck is mad, and Winston is mad. Like, well, why did you tear up that lion? People like seeing the lions. It's one of the things that bring people to the public library, and it's hard enough to get kids to go to the library.
Ain't that the truth?
And the mayor's like, you've finally given me everything I've needed. I'm going to say something I've been wanting to say for 40 years. The Ghostbusters are finished. And he refuses to own up to the fact that, last time he tried to shut down the Ghostbusters, he almost destroyed the world.
Yeah, there was that.
That is slander, and it could land you in jail. Now, are you going to behave, or should I have you arrested? And the next scene is her getting handcuffs removed from her and lockup, and Paul Rudd just sitting there with his arms closed, like, to be perfectly honest, I thought you would choose to behave when he offered you those choices.
Nah.
So they've taken their equipment, they've locked up the firehouse, they break into it, and this is probably the most cringe moment of the movie, like the thing that people are really complaining about, but I totally get it. Paul Rudd's girlfriend is in their room packing up her stuff because, the dream is over.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, does it have to be? Like, do we have to leave? Like, I want to fight for this place. I want to fight for, because we're Ghostbusters, He's loved Ghostbusters his whole life. He finally gets to be one. He's dating he's doing the daughter of one of the Ghostbusters. This is like, a dream come true for him. And I said, this is where the cringe moment is, but think about it. If there's something strange in the neighborhood, who are they going to call? And she starts to smile because, like, she knows he's being just smarmy, but he's making his point.
Yeah.
If there's something weird and it doesn't look good, who are they going to call? Ghostbusters? Yes, Ghostbusters. And she's like, okay, all right, fine. You're right, we'll fight. And also, can I say one more thing? Okay. Bustin' makes me feel good. Get out.
Nah.
I'm like, yeah, it's like, it's cringe, but it's like, this is him, like, Ghostbusters is important to me. This is a thing I share with my girlfriend, and I'm using it to, like, also flirt with her. Like, that's, like, the most cringe it was. Somebody posted at some point here's how they ruined Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. They put a chick in it, they made her lame and gay. And there was no lesbian relationship in this movie that I saw. In all honesty, the relationship between Phoebe Spangler and the ghost girl was just more like, I am a 16-year-old and I have no friends, and here's another 16-year-old that I can relate to in ways I can't relate to normal people. And now I have a friend.
This is something that kind of annoys me. I feel like one of the things that we made fun of, like the people whose opinion don't matter, we made fun
Mm-hmm.
of them about, because anytime that there was like a platonic relationship,
Mm-hmm.
or just bros being bros or something like that, or just people being cool to one another, instantly they want to fuck each other.
Yeah.
I that annoys the piss out of me, because it's like I just can't be somebody's bro. Fuck off. And in this particular case,
Only homosexuals shake hands.
I know, right? Like that that's the thing for me. It's like now we're at the point where now just everybody's assuming it, and it's really annoying. It's like, can you just let the scene be the scene? Just shut the fuck up. Like, stop it. You know,
I was like,
don't assume that the creator's trying to make them gay either. Maybe it's actually wholesome and you're just being a dickwad.
like, so, um, uh, some things happen, and Phoebe Spangler winds up letting the big bad out. And like I said, this thing has the ability to basically stop the motion movement of particles.
Mm-hmm.
So that's causing absolute like freezing.
Yeah.
They're firing particle beams at it, and they're freezing. It's freezing the particle beams, which means their weapons don't affect it at all. Um, like I said, the final showdown is really really good. They get all the old ones come back. Janine gets to suit up. They have some of their new. They actually get brand new packs that change the color of the beams from the normal red beams that they have in all the movies to actually yellow beams, reminiscent of the cartoon.
Oh, nice.
The packs themselves actually, in some ways, look a little bit reminiscent of the cartoons as well. Uh, Janine, instead of having to carry that heavy pack, they give her like an arm cannon
Cool.
that they do actually show them doing testing on earlier on. Because like, look, we're making new gear because you guys have been packing the same gear for like 40 years. It's time to make this gear safer, more efficient, but also safer. Um, and it ends with the entire city like being covered in frost. Ghostbusters managed to save the day. And the mayor shows up and he's fucking mad, and everyone is yelling at him and heckling him, and somebody just shouts out, "You dickless mayor!"
Nah. That's a nice little
It's
throwback.
true. This man has no dick. And Winston and Ray managed to basically audibly browbeat him in front of the masses to give the okay to the Ghostbusters to continue doing what they're doing, but also let Phoebe Spangler continue, be an active member of the team again, despite being a minor. Because he can't go against the will of all of these people that are surrounding him.
Yeah.
And it was a very enjoyable movie. And in the same way that Paul Rudd and Phoebe Spangler represent us the fans in the afterlife, they still do here. I mean, as an adult, okay, I get to be a Ghostbuster. I'm finally here. I'm in the firehouse. This is awesome. I'm excited. I'm going to quote some movies while blasting ghosts. I get to drive Ecto 1. Hold on. The mayor says I'm not allowed to do it anymore? We got to do something about this. We can't just give up, But at the same time, it's very much, look, I'm not, he's trying to be a functional stepfather to this girl. And, like, trying to do it the right way. Like, look, this girl needs talking to. I don't know if I'm allowed to be the person to give those talks. Like, if you want me to do that, that's fine, but I need that permission. And, like, yeah, you're an adult, you're a Ghostbuster, but you have responsibilities now. And it's not just, hey, let's shoot ghosts and quote movies.
Basically.
We still get to do that stuff, though, but there's also all this responsibility, like, bills and money. And whereas, she's very much, okay, you're a kid, you have to become a Ghostbuster. Now that they told you because of your age, you don't get to shoot the blasties anymore, well, you're mad. You don't have any friends to vent to. then you meet somebody that wants to talk to you, and there's your friend. But you're also like, okay, you're not going to let me do the cool things. Well, I'm still going to do my own investigations. That'll show you, and get into trouble. So, in a way, they still reflect us as children joining the Ghostbusters, but also that modern generation. Well, why am I being told no?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you understand, this is a matter of safety. This is technically dangerous equipment, yeah, but I literally fixed this stuff myself. Yes, but just because you know how to do it doesn't mean you have the maturity to not do dumb things.
Basically.
Like the things that eventually led to the big bad getting released. And they really tried to tell her, like, look, you're a teenager, you're 16. 2 years will go by. This is like the time to make mistakes. Like, go make some bad choices. Afterwards, she does have the conversation with Paul Rudd and her mom. Is like, you guys must hate me. Like, we don't hate you. We love you. I'm sorry I did this. Like, look, when we told you to make some bad decisions, we thought you'd like come back with a tattoo, or like, why don't you try shoplifting? That might be fun. And like I said, it's not as good as the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, but it doesn't have to be. It just has to be a good movie. I don't think it's going to have, to some people, I don't think it's going to have the same effect as Afterlife did, because Afterlife was a movie we needed.
Yeah.
It was very much, the apology to the fan base. Without Afterlife, there is no Ghostbuster movies going forward. Frozen Empire, as I said, I think that it needs to be tightened up on some of the plot structure. Because I really feel that, because if you have the A plot, which is our big bad, and your B plot, which is that Phoebe Spangler is really upset that she's being benched for being a teenager.
Yeah.
The B plot felt like it was a little bit more in the forefront.
Than
Our big bad, which isn't a bad thing, but it did make the looming threat of our big bad not as powerful as it could have been. So I think there just needs to be some rebalancing there. Otherwise, I did find out in production notes that they tried to make this not like, let's try to do Ghostbusters 1 again, but let's make this more like an episode of the real Ghostbusters.
Gotcha.
Like, this is a really long episode, and I could definitely feel that. I could definitely appreciate that. And I think if the writing here was really good, I think it needs to be tightened up in some and rebalanced in certain respects. But I would definitely go see another Ghostbusters movie written in the same style with these characters, because the old Ghostbusters are there. They want, Ray wants to be a Ghostbuster. Winston's like, look, Ray, this stuff is dangerous. You're getting these kids involved. I understand, I want to do this too, but, take a vacation, Like, Winston, this is what makes me happy. There's nothing more that I'd rather do than what I'm doing right now. Like, me too. But this kid, these kids are getting in trouble. We got to be doing it better. Like, Peter shows up and actually like does stuff that's like, you forget that Peter's a doctor. Like, he's a psychologist.
Yeah.
And he has a psychology experiment on somebody that proves that they're actually pyrokinetic.
That's interesting.
And so it's not like, let's bring Bill Murray in and have him just be Bill Murray. It's like, no, we brought Bill Murray, and Bill Murray served a point to the story. He did something useful,
which is good, because like that's one thing that me personally, I always worry that they're gonna do that with whenever it's like, yeah, there's this actor who did the previous thing, and like, let's just bring him in for a cameo. And it's like, people talked about like them doing that with like a new Predator movie. It's like, I don't want. I hate that. If you're gonna
Yeah,
put Arnold Schwarzenegger in a movie like a Predator film, have him
yeah,
do Dutch stuff. Have him be Dutch and do Dutch things. You know,
yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of that. That's kind of why I'm glad that he didn't do like the cameo at the end of the first AVP movie. It's like it really would have been a waste. Um,
Well,
the
yeah, because the best version of that movie never saw the light of day.
This is true, but but on in this particular case, like if you're gonna get guys like Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray to be in your fucking movie, let their characters do stuff. You know, they're like if they're down to like still act, then let them act. Let them do
Yeah.
what they're best at. Let them act and make me laugh because that's they're two of the greatest of all time at it.
So let's see. I see. Gunny wants me overall how I'd rate Frozen Empire on a scale of 1 to 10. One being absolute dog shit, don't watch it, and 10 being I can't come fast enough. I would probably give it about a solid 8.5 or maybe an 8.8, 8.9. It's not quite a 9, but I said it's good. It's very charming. It's not as good as the first one. I would say that it's maybe on par with the second one. Maybe the second movie is a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good movie. I highly recommend it. If you're going to tell me I'm not allowed to do decimals, then I would just say 8.
Okay. There you go.
Ghostbusters 2 would be like a 9, and Ghostbusters 1 would be a 10.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty solid math there. And like I said, people are trying to get culture war involved in this. Like I said, okay, here's Phoebe Spangler taking up is the main character of our movie. So what? She was the main character in the last movie too,
Yeah.
and we liked her then. We still like her now. It's just that she's making teenage decisions that like are super relatable, because it doesn't matter what era you grew up in. Being a teenager is pretty much the same. The only difference is how do you interact with the world around you? What's the world like to you as a teenager? But ultimately, the teenage experience is something that everyone goes through, and it's relatively the same.
Yeah. And I feel like there's way too many people that like they see that sort of thing and they start getting like mad about it. It's like no. Like, look,
Yeah.
I get it. You're old. Like we've all gotten older, but we all went through this at some point. Just relax, and see if it takes you anywhere. Don't just get mad because oh teenage girl protect it. You could like it. You never know. And if it's cringe, it's cringe.
Yeah.
But it sounds
Yeah.
to me like what they just did was just a wholesome story about what it's like being a teenager and having disagreements with people, and not you're trying to figure yourself out. Which again, yeah, it's something that anybody can understand. You don't have to be a girl. Everybody had those moments as a teenager
Yeah.
where they're just like, I don't fucking get the world. I don't understand why I can't do this. I've got all the abilities to do this. Why can't I just fucking do it? And it's one of those. Like the way you've described it is this feels like a good family movie, and it seems to me
It
like that's
was.
kind of what it was written for. Is this is a movie you can get, like you're the dad, you watched Ghostbusters as a kid, you introduced your wife to Ghostbusters when you were dating in college, and you got 3 kids that don't know shit about Ghostbusters. You bring them in to watch it. It's like it sounds to me like that's what's going on, and
I would agree wholeheartedly, and I think the thing that sends that point home is behind me at the theater, because this was not a packed theater. There were probably like 4 or 5 groups. They were all families. The group behind me had like 2 kids, and they got up. Like that was fun. And as I'm walking out, like sending my tweet, "Hey, I just got out of Ghostbusters: Frozen Kingdom. Can't stop smiling." The kids are sitting there, humming and singing the theme song,
yeah,
and I'm smiling because that's what it's about.
yeah, and it's one of those great things that I personally love it whenever we do get something that comes out that is great at bringing something to a new generation. Because Junk in the chat says here, problem is corporations can't put themselves in, that the corporations put themselves in a cultural hole they can't escape from, just for some short term gain. And I agree with that in some cases. I think there's a lot of points where we see that, but at the same time, speaking as critics, we try to take things on a case by case basis instead of just making assumptions. There are some things that like we just won't touch because of some sort of circumstance. Like I'm never gonna watch this new Star Wars The Acolyte. Has nothing to do with like anybody's sexuality or anything. It has everything to do with the lady who created it was Harvey Weinstein's assistant. No, just no, never, never giving that my attention. That's no. So it's something like that. Like that I can understand, but like other stuff I try to, it's like case by case basis, because if you start judging things by what you hear on YouTube, or it's like, oh, it has this person with this kind of a haircut or this person with this sort of orientation, but you don't sit down and watch it to see if it's any good, you could end up missing out. I mean, if I listened to everybody on YouTube and what they said about Baldur's Gate 3 before it came out, and I heard some weird shit being said about RoboCop Rogue City, like those were the two best games of last year. It's one of those things where it's like you got to just take things as they are, because what the terminally online might say something is, I'm finding more and more is rarely what it is. Sony makes The Boys TV series. They aren't completely inept. Well, I didn't like The Boys. I can understand why some people did like it. I will freely admit, I am so much of a fan of Garth Ennis and his run on The Boys that like it's very hard for me to really want any other adaptation, and I didn't really feel like it. Just like for some reason the series wasn't hitting the notes that it was, but I guess if you could just take it as an alternate universe, it would I could see why people could like it.
Yeah.
Amazon, that's right, Amazon made The Boys. I wasn't sure if Amazon was behind the production or not.
I think it also comes from obviously respect for the fan base, but also respect for the property. Like, there's a Jason Reitman is the son of Ivan Reitman, I think his name is. He probably understood the property a little bit better than his dad, even though his dad helped make that property. In that, okay, yeah, you helped make it, but you don't understand why people like it.
Yeah.
Like, you have a good idea of why you think people like it, but as someone that grew up with it and liked it, it's a completely different perspective. And that's why I think, the reverence for, we're not going to make fun of you because you like a thing. It's actually cool that you like this thing.
Yeah.
And that's why here's these two characters that speak to your adult audience and your incoming audience, but that's still somebody that the adult audience can relate to.
Funnily enough, I kind of feel like that's part of the reason also why the Spider-Man MCU trilogy hit so well. It also had a lot of like reverence for the character. And even though there like one thing people don't understand, because people immediately start talking about Zendrea's character and all this other shit. I get it. The reason that they did that is because they couldn't get the legal rights worked out to have Peter's normal cast, basically. Because I have a feeling in another universe, if they could have done it, Genki would have been Harry Osborn. And Zendrea her character would have they would have actually had Mary Jane Watson. So they had to have basically stand-ins. So I understand why people don't like that. And I get the Iron Boy thing too. They're fitting him into the MCU. Yeah. Like I get why people don't like it. I don't care. So with that aside,
I think the large problem with Zendrea is that Zendrea played Zendrea in a movie.
Yeah,
and that seems to be an issue in a lot of movies she's in.
She didn't really become a character that I like enjoyed seeing on screen until the third film. The third film, I actually liked her, like, because she was acting like a normal like a person.
Now, she has a bigger role in Dune Part 2, which I have not seen, and I'm told that it's very much a lot of Zendaya plays Zendaya.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll have to definitely talk about that whenever we get the chance to see it. I haven't seen it either. But regardless, like that was part of the reason why I think that those films hit, is because I really felt like they wanted to make a Spider-Man film. We want to do a Peter Parker story. We want to do 3 Peter Parker stories. We have to work within the MCU because that's what's popular, and that's who we want to work with because that's what's going to sell it. But we're basically going to do the best we have with what we got, and then go from there. Then by the time that the third film comes out, they almost make $2 billion because it's resonating so well with people. And especially that third film, by having all 3 Spider-Men, you really had people from different generations who got into the character through the films being able to slide in and really have just a cool adventure together. And I really feel like if you're going to introduce franchises like this that have been around for ages, like that's the methodology, is you find some way to bring that entry point of different people into it. You've got Paul Rudd, who kind of represents, like you said, the long-term Ghostbusters fan, the person who we watch the movies, watch the real Ghostbusters on Saturday mornings, and then you got the kid who doesn't know anything about it, whose dad is dragging them along to this to watching it, and there's a connection point. It's sort of like the same idea how some of you guys, I know that there's a lot of gamers in my audience, how you have that character that it basically exists to introduce you to the world. That's essentially what they're doing here, and it works. So, and Junk, I actually agree with you on Zendaya. Like, I kind of feel like that every once in a while you get that actor or actress that, like, you can just tell that their agent is ridiculously well connected. Because like her acting is like, in anything she's ever been in, it really kind of felt like it doesn't quite fit. It's nothing against her personally. It's just there's something that's just not connecting, at least for now. Admittedly, I've only seen her in movies. I have not, like, there was apparently some HBO TV series that she was on well, it's critically acclaimed, which means nothing these days, especially when it comes to HBO series, because Girls on HBO was critically acclaimed, and that show sucked ass. that's the show that forced Lena Dunham on the world. Okay, so that was it. In fact, she's another one of those people that's like, she was obviously well connected, So yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to get into a Dune debate here because
that's a discussion for
that can
time,
go on.
For sure.
That's literally hours of my life. Because
yes, that'll be another.
I
think we should definitely do a sit down on that together whenever we both get to watch it, because I've never read the books. Yeah, it just wasn't one of those that I got into when I was a kid. Like when I was a kid, I read a lot of fantasy. Like, I read The Lord of the Rings. I read the Chronicles of Narnia is my big jam. I love the Chronicles of Narnia. It's my favorite fantasy series ever. And then Star Wars. I was a big Star Wars nerd as a kid too, which might as well be sci-fi fantasy.
Right. No pun intended, but the first Dune book is very dry.
That's what everybody tells me. Yeah.
It is very fascinating. It's very good, but you have to want to read it.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings was kind of like that too. So I would definitely have to be in the mood to sit down and watch it. Like I kind of feel like for research of future videos, I need to sit down and read the unicorn light novels for Gundam Unicorn.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm dreading it because people have described it the exact same way. I'm like, fuck, god damn it, And there's no, it's obviously no, there's no audiobooks. If they would, if they were there, they'd be in Japanese, and I don't speak Japanese yet. So, but yeah, um, but yeah, when it comes right down to it, like that would be an interesting discussion because I watched the first Dune movie, I fucking loved it, and I understand that like the art style shift is something that some people didn't like, which to each their own. Um, but there's something about the style of it that just there's this weird. It's like Denis Villeneuve. I think that's how you pronounce his first name. He injects this like small piece of surrealism into things, just a little bit, to make things like just seem that much more wrong or alien to you, and it's something that I really appreciate about him. Like I really liked his take on Blade Runner too. So I didn't think I was gonna like that movie either, and I sat down and I gave it a shot. And I'm like, wow, this is actually. It's not as good as the original, but it's still good. So, not to mention everybody loves Ryan Gosling.
Speaking of Ryan Gosling, this is very important. His next big movie comes out next month, which is The Fall Guy.
The Fall
For
Guy.
those of you who don't know, The Fall Guy was actually a TV series back during the 80s about a Hollywood stuntman who moonlights as a bounty hunter using his knowledge and all of his like stunt prowess to capture criminals and kind of like do PI shit.
Interesting.
So Ryan Gosling is playing the stuntman. And I saw like a description of this at first, like, oh god, they're gonna turn the Fall Guy into like a romantic comedy, kind of like they turned the new Magnum PI into like a romantic action comedy. And like, I think they made Higgins into a woman, so now there's a Magnum sucking face with Higgins, and like, but why?
Jeez.
This is totally unnecessary. Uh, Instead of Ryan Gosling moonlighting as a bounty hunter, which would just be like, what if Drive Ryan Gosling, lived and just kept being a stuntman while doing other shit at his off time. He's just a stuntman who's asked to go do something extraordinary. He's like, look, our actor disappeared, and could you go find him for us? Because you're a stuntman and nobody will give a shit if you're not here or not. Ow, that hurts. And then come to find out the actor is like all wrapped up in all this like underworld shit, and they start all this like outrageous stunt shit happening. Like the trailer is so good. I'm like, this is gonna be. I was worried about this movie at first, but now like Ryan Gosling, he's gonna steal the show again.
He's good at that for sure.
I love the fact that he's in the Barbie movie and he's the only one that gets the Oscar.
Nah. So let's take a little bit of time for people. I'm gonna put an image on screen. This basically means you guys can ask us whatever you want in regards to pop culture stuff. Let's keep it to that. But we'll put the act guy on screen just because we love these guys.
I'm glad you narrowed it down to pop culture. This is the old internet. People start asking us how old our dicks are.
Yeah, I remember getting that question. Good times. But yes, the humble act guy. The people love this little guy, and I'm just like, you know what? He's mine now.
the little MS that could, plus GBO 2, anytime they do like any big expansion, they always do new artwork, and the artist is always hiding act guys in the art somewhere.
As you should.
So here's a big space battle, and he'll hide act guys there.
Alright, so let's see here. Have we heard about Undead Unluck?
Yes. It is a show that is very easy to sleep on because it is very fan servicey in the beginning, but that is legitimately like a gimmick of a character, and that's kind of goes away later. I'm gonna have to pull up the wiki for this, so I give you like a good description of it. This girl basically is like super unlucky, like to such an extent that her parents died, if I remember right, because of her unluck, and bad things just follow her to such an extent that she's trying to kill herself because she can't take it anymore, and people basically ostracized her. And then she runs into this dude who cannot die in the process of trying to kill herself. Um, Let me see. Get the Fuko Izumo is a young woman who has been living in seclusion for 10 years since an incident that left more than 200 people dead, including her parents, when she was 8 years old. Following the completion of her favorite long-running shoujo manga series, Fuko decides to commit suicide. She is tormented by the fact that her unluck ability brings bad luck to anyone she directly comes into contact with. She soon meets an undead man who has amazing regenerative abilities and who desires to die the best death possible, disliking his immortal life. For the sake of convenience, Fuko names him Andy because he is undead, and they begin to work together. However, they soon find themselves chased by the Union, a mysterious organization. And
I'm guessing
apparently
from there hijinks ensue.
Right. Apparently there's like some sort of like a game of death aspect going on with like causality and creation, where beings come into this world with like a weird conceptual powers, and it's like super outrageous, and it starts off like this is going to be like very low brow, isn't it? And starts getting like really high concept shit, and that's like I said, it's really easy to sleep on this, but there's a lot of cool things going on. Like I said, his regenerative abilities are like obscene. Like
Kind of like
he
Deadpool.
fires off his fingertips like bullets, and they just grow back.
Oh,
He cuts off his legs and uses the blood pressure spouting from his legs to fly.
didn't I'm trying? I feel like there's a piece of Japanese media where I saw something like that. It might have been Tokyo Gore Police.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It's been a while. It sounds interesting, but I don't know if I would like it. Let's see here. Would you be fine with
anime guy wants me to quote Armstrong? Give me the quote and I'll read it.
Center about chicken shit bureaucrats. It's just the chicken shit bureaucrats line. I can't remember the whole quote, but well, you look that up. In a perfect world, a good movie production team would make a great live-action Gundam film, scooping up discarded Star Wars fans. They were looking at doing it, and then we haven't heard anything about it for a while.
Yeah.
The guy who was working on it, like, legit seemed like he really enjoyed it. It honestly looked like they might be doing the 1 Year War. Which could be interesting, but I'm only gonna watch it if Russell Crowe plays Rob Barral. That would be great. I wouldn't mind seeing it. It's just, again, you got to have a director that like understands the source material, enjoys the source material, and would do, because it's obvious like your main like audience is going to be America, right? You know, if you're doing a westernized live action, so you could make it fit for a Western audience, but still have that Japanese appeal too, and that's not easy to do, but I feel like it could be done. Let's see here. But yeah, would we be fine with FromSoft making a Berserk game? I would love for FromSoft to make a Berserk game. I enjoyed the Muso. It was fun. But it's fun in the sense of, hey, do you want to play as Guts and just like go jib people with a giant fucking sword all day? Yes? Well, this is the game for you. But it's not, in my opinion, it's not the best way to like experience the story of Berserk from a video game standpoint. I feel like if you gave FromSoft the time and the budget to do it, given how well they did with just the story in Armored Core, I feel like they could pull it off.
I think the way to do a Berserk game would be don't let you play guts.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be depending on your uh, what part of the story it takes place in. You're one of the knights orders for the Holy See, the chain knights of the Holy See, or you're one of fucking Falconia's human knights. When Falconia is trying to like unite the world and working with the apostles.
So you're constantly playing as a grunt for the bad guys.
Well, consider this.
No, no, like that. I'm not shitting on it. I'm just asking.
Well, it's all perspective if you think about it, because to the humans, the Holy See are just defending them from demons. Yeah, you still have to put up with the Inquisition and the witch burnings, depending on which night order finds you.
Yeah,
And
they don't know
what
the
time
inner workings. They only know what they let people
Yeah,
know. I get you. And yeah, it's the
right. I
same
mean,
thing
like
with Falconia.
yeah, people at the tower were genuinely coming to the tower because they were scared. They thought they were getting protected. They didn't know that what's his name was there. He was an apostle, let alone that he was a loon.
Yeah, they don't know what we know. That's part of the what is the term for that? It's situational irony, I think.
Yeah.
No, I get you. So that would be interesting to see.
So it would give you a chance to build up a new character, because there were some characters there that were like real badass fighters that I don't know if they could go toe to toe against Guts in the Berserker armor, but depending on the time period, they probably could have lasted more than a couple of blows with Guts before they ate shit, or
Maybe
they
when
could
he
have
was a kid.
stood or could have stood next to him in the fight. Because remember, there were some of those knights that were fighting with him during the false eclipse at the tower. That were helping to repel the demons. Then when you
Well,
have
there was. I'm trying to think of what his name was. He was the dude who was banging Luca. Jerome. Jerome. Yeah.
yeah,
Jerome would be. Yeah. That would be interesting.
yep.
Well, that would
He
be kind
also
of cool to like see the story from the eyes of an outsider.
Because he belonged to a knight order. I think the leader of that knight order
He was
like a
in the Knights
mustache
of the
guy.
Holy See with. He was under the command of Farnese. Jerome was.
But there was another guy there, if I remember right. He had mustache.
Azan, and he was too. He was the second
Yeah.
in command of that unit.
And if I remember, I thought he had like a big fuck off axe.
Staff. He used a giant bow staff. He's kind of a.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, you really ought to reread Conviction. I think it's the best arc. But then that's a personal. That's the great thing about Berserk discussion, is that everybody's got a favorite arc. I really need to get in touch with Almighty Lolly about it. I need to get in touch with him about something anyway. But I really want to have him on to discuss like best arc and why. I really do feel like Conviction is the best one, but I like arguments for other ones. The only one that I would say is not the best arc is Black Swordsman. But then again, it's the intro arc. Like it's not really gonna be.
I would say in my opinion, the best arc is that village with the ogres, or
the beginning of the Falcon of the Millennium Empire arc.
Yeah, I think that's the best one. However, my favorite arc is actually the Black Swordsman.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised by that. You actually might be the first person that's actually said that to me.
I genuinely like the Black Swordsman arc because I think it's really cool. There are some aspects where it's like, there's clearly some cool, like some deeper shit going on here, but it's not being revealed to us right away because that comes later. All we need to know is this man is too fucking angry to die, and here are some godlike beings, and they're like, you shouldn't be able to stand right now, and just pure anger is making his body move against these godlike beings. Like, this is yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Let's see what else the chat has for us. 420 Gunning asks, I think it's sucks Gundam Wing is so underrated both Japan and here in the West for reasons beyond my understanding. I think Wing is one of the best Gundam series. Yeah, the thing, so we can like both of those can actually be explained because like
Yeah.
Gundam Wing didn't hit in Japan because Gundam Wing was after. It has the unfortunate position that G Gundam had too, where they were after Victory, and Victory, even Tamino hates it, and Victory is not a bad series at all. Its first half though is rough. And a lot of that is because, as Tamino explains it, is that there were production issues because of communication issues between himself and Bandai, because Bandai had bought Sunrise, and they had the things that they needed. Tamino had the things that he wanted to do, and they weren't quite communicating well. And Tamino has even said that if he could do Victory Gundam differently, he would. So by the time that, apparently, at least as I've read it, is that by the time that they finally started getting on the same page was around that midway point of the series. And then you notice that Victory Gundam gets a lot better, and it ends up becoming, I would say Victory Gundam might have, if it's not the best second half of a series in Gundam, it's like top 5.
I would agree. I honestly, for the longest time, before I actually sat down and watched Double Zeta, it was my favorite Universal Century.
Yeah, it's like, that second half is really good. Very satisfying ending.
Uso Owen, as a protagonist, is like, he gets it harder than anyone else.
To
like
say
any other Gundam protag before him, like, he gets it harder than all of them.
Yeah, and since I would even argue.
Yeah, and the fact that he came out of it the other side and isn't insane,
that says something.
It says a great deal, because there's a moment where everyone was freaked out and thought he'd gone crazy, because he's walking around with a helmet, and so what is that? And he says, "This is my mother." And then they look in the helmet and realize there's a fucking head in there.
Yep, it's very dark.
He held on to this thing for about 2 weeks, because they were going to take him back to his homeland to bury her properly.
Yeah, but
said they wouldn't. Yeah.
Back on the question though, the problem with that for at least people in Japan is like, that's sort of like, at least to the Japanese, they kind of consider that like the dark age of Gundam, because they did G and then they did Wing, and they actually did decently in the ratings, but they didn't do as well as a lot of other Gundam shows did before it and after it. So it's this weird thing where Wing is very enjoyable and a lot of fun and very good, in my opinion. Same with G Gundam. G Gundam is excellent. Because, and then of course, like, that downturn kind of ends around X. Once Turn A came around, it started coming back up, and then, by the time Seed came around and was out, people were really looking for something new. And Seed is the most, like, it fell into that point where across the world, anime was getting huge again. Both in Japan and in the United States. Now, Seed sucks.
Seed is weirdly popular in Japan.
It is, yeah, and I think a lot of it is right place, right time, not really the quality of it. Because Seed sucks. Yeah. It's bad. It is a bad television show. And Destiny is even worse, which is saying something. But
there was a tweet I shared with you of somebody we knew going through See Destiny. It's like, I'm on episode 44, and it showed a picture of how's it, Durandal?
Durandal, yeah.
I'll bring it up. It's like, he hasn't said anything I don't agree with. I'm 44 episodes in, and he hasn't said anything I disagree with.
And this man has done nothing wrong. And aside from trying to kill Lacus, I agree with him completely. So, there's the guy. So yeah, but anyway, with Wing, like, that's the reason it's not as well liked in Japan. In the United States, everybody loved Wing at first, because it is the show that essentially made Gundam huge in the West. It is Wing. No matter, like, it doesn't matter what anybody says. when people watched Toonami as it was just starting out, and you saw those trailers where Peter Cullen was basically narrating the plot of Gundam Wing to you, Optimus fucking Prime, telling you how awesome this show is going to be, you wanted to sit down and watch it. I was there because of those trailers, and it still is to this day my favorite anime ever.
Plus, it crossed a lot of gender barriers in terms of girls liked it, even though it was like this is a show for boys.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being in middle school, and there was this really nerdy girl that I was friends with, and of course she crushed on Duo, but she also crushed on Hero. Yeah, but she crushed hard on Hero.
Yeah,
and so I remember because she stayed up late to watch Gundam Wing Uncut.
Oh yeah,
and she come in the next day and she's like in tears because Hero self detonates and he's laying in a puddle of his own blood, and she's actually in tears because she doesn't know if he's gonna be okay or not. He's arguably the main character in this thing. I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah, but ultimately, the thing is that, and Xavier and I have kind of talked about this privately before, and now we'll talk about it in public. There was that time period where it was cool to not like Gundam Wing. Oh, it's formatted weird. What the fuck do you need a narrator for? He says I'm gonna kill you, but he never kills anybody. Blah blah blah.
Here's the funny thing. All these UC Gundams are better because they don't have fucking magic space armor. They just have raw skill. Okay.
Which is bullshit. There is very much magic space armor in the original Gundam series.
And that's why I came up with the idea that being a Gundam fan is loving Gundam Wing because it's fun and it's cool, then hating Gundam Wing because it's stupid and not as cool as the Universal Century, but then eventually loving Gundam Wing again because it has its place and it is quantifiably, it is a good show.
Yeah, exactly. The thing about it, and I've talked to people that dislike Gundam Wing, had long conversations with them about it, and it always comes down to whenever you get past kind of the bullshit, because there's a lot of bullshit criticisms of Gundam Wing, its formatting. It's 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 different, and that's the big thing. It's not Universal Century, which there are people out there that are UC purists, and I get it because the Universal Century, at least the Tamino stuff, is largely good. The problem that you run into, at least in my opinion, with a lot of the criticisms of it is some of it is out of context stuff. We're the Trace faction, yeah, that. Yes, that's a funny line out of context because they were dubbing that on a shoestring fucking budget. Now play the scene that I am only going to describe as Murder Tubarov. Then shut the fuck up, because that was awesome.
Yeah.
Trace Kustranada is the most gangster Gundam antagonist fucking ever. There's so much cool shit that goes on. And the big thing is that Gundam Wing is it's different. It is a different style of Gundam story. The bad guys are not the colonies this time. The bad guys are the Earth. In the most simplistic way of looking at it. There is no young man stumbles into a Gundam. They're child soldiers, child assassins, trained to go kill adults and wage a guerrilla warfare on an entire fucking planet by themselves. There's the bad guys are a lot more charismatic and aren't not all of them are puppy kickingly evil. Stuff like that. There's a lot more philosophical discussion about war and its place in society and things like that. Those are things that a lot of Gundam does not do, which in my opinion, I can understand why. That's perfect. That's not Tamino's style. Tamino likes broad topics and discussions on the human condition, but he comes at it from a different direction. And which is always good. I think that the big thing for me is that acting as if Gundam Wing is bad just because it is a different take on it, I think is silly because there's a lot to love about it. And I honestly would argue it might have the best mobile suit design in the entire franchise. Like seriously, like it might be the best.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy to say. Some people are gonna think I'm nuts, but I would absolutely put the design of Wing Zero up against the Zeta Gundam, the new Gundam, the Double Zeta, or any of the notable ones like Wing's designs are excellent. So, and yeah, Treize is the goated Gundam villain. You put any, if there were a way to have a war between, let me put it this way. If you put Oz in the place of the Earth Federation against Zeon, Oz would steamroll them.
Well,
just on tactics alone.
Well, the other thing that's got going on for it is Gundam universally has a message of, war is bad, but also that the people that start the wars never have to deal with the cleanup.
Yeah.
That's the problem of the younger generation. That's the problem with old people starting wars that, they never have to fight. Treize sits there and goes and analyzes the philosophy of war, why you'll never remove war, and nor should you, because war in essence is, in the philosophy of it being that, war is diplomacy. What is diplomacy? It is the application of force to get someone to do what you want. You can do that through political pressure, you can do that through economic pressure, you do that through sanctions, or you do that with armed force. All else fails. The fact is, as long as you have other nations, you will never remove the need for war because, again, it's all about making someone else do what you want.
Yeah. I have a feeling if Treize Kushernada had a conversation with Banana Lynx from Unicorn, Banager would walk out of the room afterwards and shoot himself in the head. Like, I'm not beating this guy. I can't come to the conclusion. I don't get it. Even though I'm not a huge fan, I feel Gundam Barbatos is the best. Oh, now I gotta brag. Xavier, do you mind if I brag for a minute?
Go ahead. Show off your toy.
Goodness. This made me, like, getting this done made me a very happy camper. So, this is a master grade Barbatos with that you're seeing in front of you. It has LEDs in the head for the eye glow there. It is all metallic paints with color shift put on top of them, and you can actually this photo actually like shows off the shift really, really well. I even painted reds over the clear parts that are like pink on the kit because they're not pink in the anime, they're red. So, and the real kicker for me is what I did with the weapons. Oh. This took me a minute. Because this mace, I had to mask this to get it right. But you can see the division here of the edge, how it's like just straight up titanium. And then I used a black paint over the rest of it to kind of give it like a black iron look. And I also did the same thing with the sword. Admittedly, this is not anime accurate. In the anime, like the sword and the mace are like just big chunks of metal, but I wanted to give them a more defined looking edge. So there you go. Humble brag.
Yeah, I can't wait to get a new place because then I can start building stuff again.
Absolutely.
That was the biggest problem in my old place is I just didn't have the space for it.
Yeah, Junk puts it in there. If you ignore the blatant plot armor, Gundam Wing is good. That is very true because it does exist. Like the point I talked about the murder Tubarov scene. It is the most gangster shit ever, but you kind of have to ignore the three Leos like pelting Treize with fucking small arms fire that he's not even trying to block.
Well, Also consider the fact that what was going on in the scene. Dubrov is trying to flex nuts that he's about to make the soldier obsolete with his mobile dolls that still require a human controller, and Trey's is trying to sit there and say the soldier will never be obsolete, and the soldier can defeat the mobile doll, and I'll show you how. Lieutenant, murder Tuberov. And just like that, he stopped the mobile dolls.
Yeah, he like Tuberov goes, "What?" And then Trey's just butchers the three of them. And he basically did it by outplaying Tuberov. He had somebody on the inside that could pull out a gun and shoot the guy who was running them in the face, and then he could just pick them off. The delivery of the line is just so fucking good, though. He's just, this is Trey's Kushranada. Murder Tuberov. Sir! And then just instantly, there's four guys with their guns pointed at one of the heads of the Rockefeller Foundation. And then the line that he says afterwards, you're not going to find it on YouTube, sadly. Like that clip got deleted because probably got copyright claimed. But basically, I love the line that he says later. Is like, "Return to me quickly, Zex, because now war is being controlled by worthless people," or something like that. I'm like, God damn, that is a cold line. And yeah, like, whenever I do the deep dive on Gundam Wing, I'm going to be talking a lot of philosophy, specifically Trey's, because he is fascinating to me, because he's a fascist. And I don't mean like the Twitter version where everything I disagree with is fascism. No. Trey's Kushranada is a military fascist. Like, you listen to his speech on God and control, that is fascism. That is exactly what he believes. But the way he delivers it is so strange to me and so unique. Not to mention, he has one difference above any other military fascist throughout history. He actually has a value for all of human life. He actually does value humanity. It's not about the party. It's about, he believes that his way will bring about peace. And that conviction is so unique to me. It's so interesting. Makes for a great villain.
So for $100, we can get him to say something on Cameo.
Oh, the actor who does it?
Yeah.
That would be interesting. But yeah, regardless, like, yeah, Wing's got some issues. It's not perfect. But I really kind of go between, like, what I consider to be, like, the king of the Gundam alternate universe. Like, Wing, G, IBO. Those three, I think, are, like, the top three of all of them. 00 is not bad, but it's very unoriginal. And it really gets dragged down by a weaker second season. And Xavier and we recorded like half of a Rate the Mecha for 00. We didn't. I had a hard drive failure, so the video is sadly gone. I'll have to do it again sometime. But
yeah.
The one thing that we noticed is, like, there, like, a lot of the design elements of 00 got really weak in the second season too. Like, the mobile suits just don't look as cool.
They blew their load in that first season.
They really did. Though admittedly the 00 Quanta in the movie is a great looking suit. But yeah, sadly it just, like, nothing else, like, is able to touch it. And at some point we'll need to do Rate the Mecha for Wing. Like, Wing just I've started writing the first part of my series on Wing, which is, the first one is just called In Defense of Gundam Wing. And I mentioned, like, they just basically said the two best mecha designers we have are Katoki and Okawara. Get them both. They did great on G Gundam together. Let's have them go here. And it was pretty simple. You have Okawara do all the Gundams. And then you have Katoki. He designs all the Oz units. And it worked.
All right. This guy's got some fabulous range. Let me give you some of these roles beside the Trey's voice actor. So, he's Sesshomaru in Inuyasha.
Yep.
He's Bato in Ghost of the Shell.
Yep.
He's Kim Kathwan in Fatal Fury 2,
Mm-hmm.
and he's Raccoon in Dragon Ball Z.
You would never know it's the same guy.
Oh, he's also Jeff Bogard.
Yep. And the same thing could be said of Brian Drummond too, who is Miliardo's voice actor. You would never know that he's Date Rape Garma in fucking Seed Destiny, but that's him.
He's General Hawk in G.I. Joe, like the original. Seems like that's when his career started.
Who, David J? Or Brian Drummond?
David K.
David K, that's it, not David J. Yeah, David K's been around for a while. Yeah, the voice actor, like, all the main voice actors in Wing, I thought did a great job at it. Scott McNeil, in a lot of ways, steals the show in a lot of scenes he's in. That's just Scott McNeil, though. He's just great.
Scott McNeil, like Kirby Moreau, is like, 5 and 6 characters in every episode.
Well, yeah, that's the big thing. It has kind of like the Great Teenager Onizuka problem, where like you get points where, for like the opening of Gundam Wing, because I've started watching it again, for the umpteenth time, is in the opening of it, Kirby Morrow and Brad Swale are the guys that are Zex's pilots in that are piloting the carrier he's in.
Yeah.
So he's basically talking to Katra and Troa right at the start, and it's like, what? But it's not something you really realize until it's a rewatch. But yeah, they were working on a shoestring budget. It's understandable.
That's one of the reasons why I say you should view it as a stage play, because the Shakespearean elements play well with that, but also it explains the fact that you have the same voices coming out of multiple characters. Somebody had to pitch in. There weren't enough extras. The narrator, that's just your scene transitioning. And some people having very wooden deliveries.
Yeah.
It's a stage play. The problem is she's not giving her delivery to the other characters like she's supposed to. She's delivering it to the audience. That's why Relena always sounds so stiff and why she sucks.
Well, she's also a teenage girl.
Yeah.
That's the big. She's a lot better as the show goes on.
Yeah, her voice actress really gets better after you've done this enough episodes, so you finally learned how to emote better.
She's great in Endless Waltz.
Oh, actually, absolutely. But those first 10 or 15 episodes of Wing are very wooden for her.
Yeah. It's just one of those things it was very early in dubbing. If there was a way to I have a feeling if you could redub Wing with the cast that they had, which you can't now because Kirby Morrow sadly passed away. But if they could do it, it would be amazing, because you look at the voice cast, you're like, holy shit, these are all great. They've done all these characters I like, So yeah, as it stands, Wing is just one of those series that it's going to be an interesting time to discuss it, because the people who despise it really despise it. And I still think a lot of the reasons for it are bullshit. Yeah. Or it's one of those things where I like this series, so I cannot like this series, which is also fucking stupid. What's next? Are you gonna get mad at me because I own a PlayStation console? Fuck off.
But sometimes it feels like it comes from that same attitude, like a person whose opinion I listen to doesn't like this, so I'm not allowed to like this anymore. Which that was a big problem during the fucking Channel Awesome days. Doug Walker didn't like this movie. I'm not allowed to like this movie anymore.
You're not allowed to like Final Fantasy VIII at all.
Yeah.
420 Gunny says, reasons for why Seed is crap. For him, it's main character, new type, Gary Stu, full of new types. Well, I did 2 videos on this. So, the condensed version, that's you kind of are getting the big part for me, Gunny. My biggest problem, throughout the entirety of it, is consistency. There's no consistency in Seed. nobody's consistent. It's really poorly written. Um, so yeah, that's just my biggest problem. It's like the fact that there's no consistency to it is just fucking annoying. There are some characters in it that could have been really interesting, and there's also a couple characters that are way too good for it. Mulaflaga and Maru Ramius specifically. They're too good for that show. And they both get ruined in Destiny. Both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, her boob jiggle is too good for that show.
There's that too, yes. But, God, I really feel like the second video, the Destiny video that I did, which Xavier here helped me suffer through that.
That was literally the second time I'd ever sat through the series. The first time I sat through it was like 2011.
Yeah,
and most of what I was like, remember, like, this isn't as bad as I remember it, but it isn't good either.
It really, yeah, it's just, it has a few high points. The episode where they find the lab was good. That was a great episode. Like from front to back was good. In my opinion, it's the only episode that front to back is good. You know, there's episodes that are good, but it's because like they get saved at the end. It's kind of like boring, cool thing, you know. Yeah. That episode where they find the lab that like shows like how they were creating the extended and shit like that. That is legitimately a well written and chilling fucking episode. But just, man, there was just so much fucking weird shit going on. They couldn't keep anything consistent. There's the fact that the worldview of fucking Kira Yamato makes no sense. And he is a hypocrite. He is a massive fucking hypocrite. In any other Gundam show, he'd be the villain.
Yeah. As I said, Durandal's plan isn't wrong. It's just the way he's going about it that's the problem. And I think it was that his plan was too smart for the writing staff.
Yeah, because they're aping Brave New World. And they don't really take the time to go into why Brave New World and why a system like that, there's a moral problem with it. They just say, I am Kira Yamato, I tell you it's bad, therefore it's bad. That's it. It's either, you know, the show makes you assume, or just puts it in a situation where everybody who does not agree with Kira Yamato and Lacus Clyne are bad. That's it. That's all that there is to it. You have to accept the fact that these two characters are the moral arbiters of that universe, which is fucking stupid. And it's the only Gundam show I can think that does that. Like, there are moments where, you know, I think every Gundam protagonist gets their morality properly challenged, or like shades of gray get introduced. The only other series I can think of where you kind of just like the main character is the righteous one is Unicorn. The difference is that in Unicorn, some of the ideas that Banana has do make sense because it's the universal century and it's a world gone mad at that point. And a lot of like everything you're so far separated from all of this shit that this war does not make sense. The sleeves do not make sense. They should not exist. That, like, you don't need to be doing this. This is dumb.
Right.
And so it makes sense there. And, you know, you do get that implication that a lot of the adults in Unicorn are fucking stupid, which they are. But the
issue that Menager has is that he doesn't really believe in anything.
Yeah.
Until the end. He's not fighting for what he believes in. The things that he's espousing, that, you know, war is bad, you shouldn't kill people, you don't believe in any of that. That is just shit that people told you that you should believe in.
Yeah.
You're regurgitating somebody else's stuff. Like, the fact is, we as a society know you shouldn't kill people, okay? However, there are certain situations where to protect yourself, the things that are important to you, and your loved ones, you may have to enact force on another individual that may get up to and including lethal force. And you should be prepared for that.
Yeah, his naivete gets questioned, and he does actually have to think about it, which is something Kira Yamato never had to do. It's why I say banana links. Banagher is Kira Yamato done right.
Banana. Hot potato.
But yeah, Banagher is like he's Kira Yamato if the writer actually lets him get challenged. And and because of that, he's a much better character. He's not perfect. Again, I'll review Unicorn someday. I promise I will review it. For those of you who might watch the VOD of this, or those of you who are in the chat right now, first off, thanks for hanging out with us so late. Second, the reason that I haven't touched Unicorn yet, I want to go through the Universal Century piece by piece. And there's some, like, I want to do deep dives, not just for the 1 Year War. I want to do it for the Grips War. I want to do it for the first and second Neo Zeon Wars. I want to really go in depth on what's going on here. Because the lore behind it, it's great stories, obviously, but the lore behind those stories is fucking fascinating. Plus, we're going to have a moment where we get to talk about how awesome it is that Judo called fucking Smash Mirror Gamer word.
Yeah.
But now, I want to take my time through it also because I want to illustrate whenever we get to Unicorn how much lore you need to understand for Unicorn to make any bit of fucking sense.
Now, I'd like to make an offer to the audience, if I could, and that is, I've been trying to bully you into doing a video with me called, Operation Retcon, how to fix Gundam Seed Destiny.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Would you like start to finish? If we did Gundam Seed Destiny, how would we do it? How to make it better? We get Human Shield funded. That video goes right into production. What do you say?
I'm down. Chat, you have a challenge. If Human Shield gets funded within the time period to get it funded, which we have, we're gonna, we will definitely extend it, probably for another 30 days. Because again, like I mentioned, we've had a slow start with it, admittedly, but if we can get it to this amount that we need, basically by what the end of 60 days would be, what end of May, like mid-May.
May?
Yeah, mid-May. Yeah. If we can get there by mid-May, for those of you who are watching this, if we can get there, we will go ahead and put that into production. So
the rules for that are also very, you're going to love it. We have to use all the same pieces. All the same game pieces have to be in play. That means all the same characters. That means that Durandal's plan is still Durandal's plan. However, this is how he should have done it. Yeah, and this is how this entire thing could have been way better.
Will I do a Splatterhouse appreciation stream in October? If I don't do a stream of it, I should probably do a video of it. I love Splatterhouse. Have I ever told you about the story about how I got my terror mask that's in my office?
No.
So the story behind that is it was sent to me. So Blistered Thumbs assigned me to that game. I got a free copy of it from Namco, and I played it through all the way. Which, if you go back and you read reviews from back at the time that the game came out, not a lot of people did. And I gave it a fair shot. And I actually linked the PR person from Namco to it. I said, hey, here's my review. I hope that you guys get to do another one. And this was a fun game. There's a lot of cool stuff here. I feel like there's just a few things that could have been done better, but ultimately it's an enjoyable experience. And I sent that to them, and I got an email back saying, hey, thank you so much for this. I sent this on to the team. They also wanted to say thank you. So the devs of the game gave me a thank you through the PR person. A week later, I get a package from Namco, and inside of it is a terror mask with a stand. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't buy this. So I emailed them about it, and I'm like, what's this for? And they're like, yeah, the team wanted to send that to you. And I'm like, oh shit. And then sadly, 2 months later, the team got shut down. So, I would love to definitely do an appreciation of that, because I really liked the 2011 version, and I kind of feel like I still want to get my hands on the rights to do a book of it, to do a comic book. Like, I will say this right now, like, to those of you out there, I have an artist that wants to do it. I have a colorist that is a massive Splatterhouse fan that wants to do it. So if people want to see a 200-page fucking Splatterhouse book, bug Bandai Namco about it. Tell them to get in touch with me. I will make it happen. I have the technology. I can do it. And I will definitely write a big ass fucking graphic novel that will be dope as hell. So yeah, I would definitely like to do that. Splatterhouse is just so fun. It's very, very enjoyable. But yeah, back to the Unicorn thing. I just kind of like, it's a weird position, because I really like Unicorn. It's a fun show. Great mecha design as well. I still have a where is it still back here? It is back here. I have a master grade Banshee Norn, which the Norn, I don't know why, is a P Bandai exclusive. And I managed to get my hands on it. It was cheaper than you'd think. It was only $65 plus shipping. So I'm waiting to build it because I want to buy some LEDs. Because the Barbatos is essentially like an LED test, right? I want to put LEDs all the way through it, like the MGEX. And I've been studying like how the MGEX like lays out its fucking LEDs and shit. And I think I know how I can do it. And I know how I'm going to make it look. I'm going to take, that like black metallic paint that I like so much. I'm going to do that as like a base layer. And then I'm going to hit it with that blue color shift that I use. So that way, whenever the light hits it at different angles, it'll have like a blue hue to it like it does in the anime. Xavier, if you're talking, I can't hear you.
I'm good.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I was going over some stuff on my side.
Ah, gotcha.
No, there's a lot of stuff I would love to have the rights to. I always talk about how I would love to do get the publishing rights to Pirates of Darkwater and do a book about that. Kind of clean it up and potentially finish it. I would love to get the rights to X Mutants and just do a limited run on that. I'm not sure who I'd have to go through that because, Marvel bought him from Malibu, but Malibu didn't create the X-Mutants. Somebody else did. But at Malibu, they created the characters I wanted to use. So who owns that and what, I'm not sure. How that's probably like a legal headache. But it's been a crazy night, and probably about time we start wrapping up.
Yep, let's do one more question, and then we'll close it out. Let's see here. Actually, that might have been the last one that I saw. Yeah, it was. So yeah, we'll go ahead and close it out there. Want to thank everybody once again for coming out and hanging out with us. remember, if you have not already, back Human Shield. We are trying to get this off the ground again. Slow start, but we can pick it up. So check out the perks. The link is in the description. Thank you to everybody who's already backed it. And if you haven't, if you can, it would be. Oh wait, Batzilla said he had some questions. Yeah, we'll do those real quick then. I'll have to scroll up, but we're trying to get it off the ground. Octavius is a good guy. I think you guys are gonna like him as we introduce him more to folks. Let me see what Batzilla's questions were. I'm going to go through these real fast. Have I read Silmarillion and The Hobbit? Not in a long time. What are your thoughts on the Greek saga of God of War? First game is great. Second game and third game, didn't really like them.
Kind of mid. The Portal games, though, they did cool things.
Yeah, I heard they were good. I never got around to playing them. And then finally, what do you think about the new Hideo Kojima horror game releasing soon? I am very interested in it. Like Kojima and Jordan Peele working together. I don't know how it's going to turn out. Could be terrible. But I've always felt like Kojima has always wanted to do horror, just hasn't been able to find the time to do it. Because there's little bits of horror sprinkled into Metal Gear. And it's fucking cool. Like we had fucking Psycho Mantis in the first game, and then we had Raven in the second game, and then the Fear in the third game, and fucking the Beauty and the Beast core in the fourth, and then in the fifth one, it was just there's a lot of it.
There's also the horror aspects of Death Stranding that are like super obvious, but so he's always seems to want to play with it. And PT and Silent Hills was going to be a big opportunity for him, and everyone got to miss out. Now apparently he's doing not just a horror game, but he's also doing a stealth action game because he can't, obviously he can't get away from that.
Yeah, and he's also got the Death Stranding sequel too. So Norman Reedus and the Funky Fetus shall return. I'm looking for. I need to finish the original Death Stranding. I got like 2/3 of the way through it, and I was really enjoying it, and then something came up, and I never got around to finishing it. So yeah, to say,
go see Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. This movie needs to make money so we can get another one.
Indeed. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. One last thing that I am going to say, the podcast will be returning. We've almost got all the things finished for it. Micah and the Hat Man is evolving into something new, something a little bit more expanded. And stay tuned. We will have more announcements on that going forward. So, on that note, appreciate everybody for coming out. Back Human Shield. And we will see you guys soon. Have a good night, everybody.
Peace.